Board. Welcome to our town hall. Today is October 4th. Thank you so much for joining us. Just would like to introduce our panelists who are joining us this evening. Mr. Joseph Patterson, our president, Paulette McKenzie Williams, our vice president for Surrey, Devon Thompson, our vice president for Middlesex, Winston Wright, vice president for Cornwall, and our dearly beloved Janet Chukanowski, membership director. Welcome, welcome. And we're being joined by my co-host, Mr. Winston Wright as well. Winston.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the UIC Town Hall, one of our regular meetings to engage with you, our very valued member, and also to engage with the public who we wish to serve, to have you understand what UIC plans to do for you. We thank you for joining us this evening. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate you being here with us on a Sunday, your quiet time. I promise we'll make it very informative. We'll make it worth your while. Take it away, Camille.
Thank you, Winston. First, I want to bring Mrs. Paulette McKenzie Williams, our Vice President for Surrey. She's also going to read our UIC pledge, which we will share. We're sharing with you guys for the first time live. We absolutely love our pledge. And Mrs. McKenzie Williams, please take it away.
Good evening, Jamaica. Welcome to the UIC Town Hall meeting. We're about to say our pledge. The UIC pledge. As one who loves my own life, my liberty, and the right to earn, own, and freely enjoy my property, I pledge to respect and to help to protect the life, liberty, and property of all others. Do my part in helping to my fellow citizens to create a safe, clean, and orderly society where all may live, earn, and retire with dignity in true liberty, where unprovoked force, corruption, and fraud are abolished among human relationships, so that we may finally become one Jamaica, united, strong, and free.
Thank you so very much for sharing that. I love that pledge. It embodies exactly what the UIC stands for. Since you're also on the floor, Mrs. McKenzie Williams, can you also give us a brief introduction as to your position as the Vice President for Surrey?
Okay, again, Paulette McKenzie Williams, Vice President for Surrey County, which has the parish of St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, and I think Kingston. So my position is one that has the responsibility to help to organize this county so that we are properly staffed for the next election. Also, my responsibility is part of finance.
Our town hall. Today is October 4th. Thank you so much for joining us. Just would like to introduce our panelists who are joining us. Thank you. Sorry about that. Paulette, go ahead, please. To Joseph Patterson.
Okay, all right. So I was just saying that I'm responsible for finance and the fundraising.
Paulette McKenzie
a part of and being the vice president for the county of Surrey.
And for Surrey.
So principally, we look at my responsibility is to look at how do we
Devon
organize
Thompson,
our finance and how do we raise funds.
Vice president for Middlesex.
Funding is a very important part of any organization, as you know. And so this responsibility is not a light one.
Winston Wright, Vice President.
We cannot win an election unless we are properly funded. You know that we are a grassroots
our dearly beloved.
And so, of course, we are looking to
Janet
our members and general donations to help to finance, apart from making partnership with stakeholders in Jamaica.
Welcome, welcome.
So this responsibility that I share with other members of the UIC.
And we're being
will
joined
put us in a position
by
where
my
it will
co-host,
help us
Mr.
to be
Winston
able to speak to the
Wright
electorate
as well.
so that we can
Winston?
better send the message and the messages that the
Good
UIC
evening,
has
everyone.
so that
Welcome
we can be electable.
to
So
the
that's
UIC
basically
Town
what
Hall,
I do as the UIC
one
Vice
of
President
our regular
and
meetings
responsible for fundraising and
to engage with
finance.
you, our very
Thank you, Paulette. Appreciate
valued
that.
member, and also to engage with
We
the
also
public
want to
who we wish
welcome Dr. Andre Jones
to serve,
and
to have you
Mr.
understand what
Humphrey
UIC
Sutherland, our chairman.
plans to do for
All
you.
right, so our next person that we will introduce to you
We
will
thank you for joining
be
us this evening.
Mr.
You know, your
Winston
time is
Wright,
valuable. We appreciate you
Vice
being
President for Cornwall. Winston?
here with
Thank
us
you,
on a
Camille.
Sunday.
Good
Your
evening,
quiet
everyone.
Welcome again, everyone.
Welcome,
Promise
Dr.
we'll make
Jones.
it very welcome, Chairman Humphrey Sutherland. It's great to have you with us as usual. Look forward to your insight later on, Mr. Sutherland. Now, my name is Winston Wright, as Camille said, and I'm the Vice President for Cornwall. Just like, take it away, Camille. My past
Thank you, Winston.
Mrs. McKenzie Williams.
First, I want
responsibilities
to
for organizing the UIC's operation in the county of Cornwall. I
bring
also have
Mrs.
the
Paulette
responsibility
McKenzie
in looking at
Williams,
the candidate structure, along with Mr.
our Vice
Pallister, our
President
President,
for
to
Surrey.
make sure that UIC is operationally ready to face the
She's
electorate
also going
in the coming
to
future. We all work as a team
lead
at UIC
our
to make sure
UIC
that we are able to present a coherent and united
pledge,
front,
which we will
be able to
share. We're
articulate our vision for Jamaica, one that liberates Jamaican
sharing with you
economic
guys for the first
sphere,
time
liberate the Jamaican populace from what can be considered
live. We
unequal
absolutely
distribution
love
of wealth, if not
our pledge,
classism,
and
if not
Mrs.
a constitution designed
McKenzie
to
Williams,
extract
please take
wealth of the working class and
it away.
stockpile that wealth in a limited group. So the UIC
Good
has a very
evening,
strong
Jamaica.
vision,
Welcome
very coherent vision, and I'm working
to
with the UIC to make
UIC
sure that
Town Hall
we get that out there. We communicate in various ways.
meeting.
For example, we started our
Yep.
newsletter recently, which is out on a monthly basis.
We're about to
It's out
say
on a
our
monthly
pledge.
basis. And we do town halls like these just to make sure that we're able to connect. We're across the social media sphere, Facebook,
The
and
UIC
Twitter,
pledge.
where we put our information out there. And one thing I must say is that
As
UIC
one who
is not
loves
a friend to conventional media, meaning
my own
our
life,
story is not
my
sensational because we're seeking to undo the economic bias that currently
liberty,
exists in
and the
Jamaica.
right to earn,
So our story don't garner headlines. Our materials are
own,
constantly
and freely enjoy
ignored,
my
if not pushed aside.
property.
I don't know if
I
it is
pledge
deliberate or inadvertent,
to
but
respect
as a former
and to
media practitioner, I know that
help to protect
sensationalism
the life,
sells, and what DYC plans to do is not sensational but revolutionary. And for that, we don't garner regular press. So we communicate with our
and
members directly
property
through
of
social
all
media
others. Do
and
my
through this newsletter. We look forward to exploring other
part
options to connect with
helping
well-meaning,
to
well-thinking Jamaican, well-reasoned Jamaican who understands
fellow citizens
travesty
to
of our
create
present political system, miscarriage
a
of
safe,
justice
clean,
that
and orderly
Jamaicans have endured because of the perpetration of the slave master mentality and political
society
structure.
where
And
all
will
may
work with us to extricate Jamaica from this and bring a
live, earn,
united
and
Jamaica
retire with
forward
dignity
that allows
in
all
true liberty,
earn equally, take advantage equally
where
of the opportunities that
unprovoked
exist
force,
in this beautiful land, and eventually retire
corruption,
with
and fraud
dignity in a
are
safe and clean environment. Thank you, Camille. I hope I have not gone on too
abolished
long.
among human
I
relations
will now yield to you so you can move to our other guests.
so that we may
Good job. Good job. Thank you so much.
finally
Our
become
third
one
vice
Jamaica,
president is Devon Thompson, vice president for
united,
Middlesex.
strong,
Devon.
Hi, good night, everyone. Hope you're tuning in from Jamaica, the US, tuning in from Canada. I'd like to welcome you here today. My name is Devon Thompson.
Thank you
I'm the
so
Vice
very
President
much
for Middlesex.
for
I'm
sharing that.
responsible
It's
for
I
social media pages.
love that
I'm also
pledge. It's
responsible
embodied
for ensuring
is
that
exactly
all your
what the UIC
questions
stands
are answered today. I see some comments already coming
for.
in, and I'm very happy about that. And we're going to get to them shortly. So I want to talk to you
you're
guys
also on the
just for a
floor,
quick bit about our social
Mrs.
media
McKenzie
platforms. We're
Williams,
on
can you also
YouTube, We're on
So give
Twitter,
us a
we're on
brief
Facebook,
introduction
and we're also
as to your
using our
position
email marketing campaign. So you maybe, if you're a UIC member or if
as
you
the
signed up on our
VIP,
website, you're probably getting emails from
Vice
us
President for Sorry.
introducing you to the UIC and telling you about various government
Okay, again,
structures, particularly the
Paulette
government
McKenzie
structure that
Williams,
we use.
Vice President
in
for
the
Sorry
UIC.
County,
So we are creating marketing
which has the
campaigns
parish
to
of
reach you,
St.
fellow
Thomas,
Jamaicans,
Portland,
to ensure that we
St.
have
Mary,
a 45-seat
and
majority election in the upcoming
Kingston.
campaign. So we
So
need
my position
more people to join the UIC. We need people like you.
is one
we
that
need people to step up to
has the
become
responsibility
councillors.
to help
We
to
need people to step up to
organize
become
this
MPs
county
for the community
so
that they live in. We need people to step up to become
that we are properly
specialized
staffed
individuals. For example,
for
if
the
you're
next election.
experienced or if you're knowledgeable
Also,
about
my
energy, you could become our energy minister. If you're experienced or
responsibility
knowledgeable about security,
is part
you can become our security minister. So after
Lord,
finance.
COVID-19 ends, which I hope it will, I assume it will end very soon, UIC will
Today
be putting together face-to-face meetings so that
October
you
4th.
can come into a room and you can sit to talk with Joseph. You can sit and talk with
Thank
Winston.
you so much
You can
for
sit
joining
and
us.
talk with Paulette. You can talk to Camille and Janet. You can talk to all the UIC members face-to-face and get the information
just
that you
would like
really need
to
ask all those burning questions, and they'll be answered. So thank you again for joining us today, and I hope that you will be able to take away some really good information from this UIC monthly
panelists who are joining. Awesome. Thank you, Devon. Thank you. That. We always enjoy listening to you speak. Winston, would you like to introduce Mr. Sutherland just for a brief greeting? One to Joseph Patterson.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Camille, I would love to.
So I
it's
was
a pleasure introducing Mr.
just
Sutherland.
saying that
Sutherland, as everybody here, well, almost everybody here knows,
for
is our
finance
chairman.
and
He's one of the staunchest support that the UIC has
the
in
fundraising.
this
Paulette
outside of the
McKenzie
president
A part of
and the rest of us.
being the
Mr. Sutherland is the main
Vice President
for the county. I'm sorry.
He encourages all of us to
And for
stay the
Sorry.
course,
So principally,
to serve the people. Mr. Sutherland is an
we look
entrepreneur
at my
of
responsibility.
immense magnitude. He invests heavily in
Look
the
at how do
cause.
we
Devon
organize our
Thompson,
He believes in
finances, how
economic
we raise
empowerment.
funds.
He
Vice
believes that
And for Middlesex.
Funding is a
that
very
he
important
loves
part
can go back to being a place where
of any
everyone
organization,
can
as you
enjoy
know.
the fruits of their labor. And while he's not in Jamaica right
And
now, he looks
so
forward to
this
the day when he comes
responsibility
back to a Jamaica land
is
he
not
loves
a light
and to
one.
do what he does best.
Winston
Because
He's a
Wright,
serial
Vice
entrepreneur that has brought several companies to success.
we cannot win an
and will
election
continue to
unless
do
we are
that well beyond many years that
you know that we
he's
are
endowed
grassroots.
with.
Our dearly
Mr.
beloved
Sutherland, it's always a pleasure having
And so,
you
of
here.
course, we are
And
looking
please, I ask you to share with us
Janet
our members
Chakanowski,
and general
what you, Mr. Sutherland.
donations
Thanks,
to help finance.
I'm more than expecting, but listen, it's always a
Apart
pleasure
from
to
making
be
partnership
involved
with
in the UIC.
stakeholders
Director.
in
I live the UIC every day.
Welcome.
So
I'm always thinking about what we need to do, how we need to do it. I'm always thinking about how do we get more funding. I'm always thinking about how
I'm sorry, Mr. Sutherland.
here with other
We're
members
having
of
very
the
bad
UIC.
connection there, Mr. Sutherland. We're being
Will
joined.
put us in a
Can you go in a different area?
Yes,
position
yes,
where
my
it will
co-host,
help
on the road here. So
us
Mr.
to be
Winston.
able to
No,
speak.
I'm on the road here, so
I
can
tell
you
you
hear me?
what. No,
To
the
the
connection is
electorate
very bad,
so
Mr.
that
Sutherland. We'll have
we
to
can
come back to
better
you on that,
send the
okay?
the messages that
if you
the
hear me, let me know because I'm on the road.
Good evening,
UIC has,
everyone.
so that
Welcome.
we
So what we should do is
Okay, thank you,
let's
sir.
try to bring him
be
back in later.
electable.
So
So that's
UIC
basically
if you
what
can
I
try
do
another location, Mr. Sutherland,
as the
and just let
UIC
us know when
vice
you're able to speak
For
again,
regular
and
meetings,
because we're
responsible
looking
for
forward to hearing you. Please and thanks.
Thank you.
I will.
fundraising
Okay.
and
to engage with
finance.
you, our very
And
right,
welcome to our other guests, Marvin Kelly, Reggie, Rain, Paulette, for joining us as well. Go ahead, Winston.
member. Thank you, Camille.
We also
Gonna welcome Rain, Reggie,
want to
and
welcome
Marvin,
Dr.
all
Andre
our other members joining us today. I love that the fact
Jones
that UIC
and
is joining friend. I remember my first meeting, Mr. Patterson. It
Humphrey
was
Sutherland.
a few of us, wasn't it? But
Yes,
I
yes.
love the fact that the board is well lit up because persons
Right,
are
so
now
our next
seeing the vision of the UIC, seeing why it is important.
person that we will introduce.
And if I may go back and see, if we look at the election, that was the general election that was held last. With you for joining us,
Mr. Winston Wright,
of the electorate,
Vice President
though the governing party
Cornwall.
has won a majority, an overwhelming majority in the House. They did that here with us on Sunday at 37%. Welcome to turnout. And on top of that, even though they have everyone promised much seats, to make it very look at the statistics, their voter turnout was just over 400,000 as usual, and the opposition party, their turnout was just over 300,000. And for me, statistically, that's a dead heat. Now, my name is means that 37% is almost split down the middle. And we're looking to engage everybody else who didn't find a reason to participate in that process because they understood. Take it away, Camille.
Thank you, Winston.
There is no real alternative with the way the system is.
First,
but Camille, responsibility is for organizing the.
We do have a question. Our first question is from Melford Gopal Singh. Is the UIC a spring list party? So first of all, I just want to say we're going to go into the Q&A at this point. Thank you so much. Who would like to take that question?
Well, I think first of all, let me go first.
Or Vice President. Oh yes, I do apologize.
No worries. It's okay. So for all of our listeners, I am the president of the UIC, but as you can already see, the UIC is bigger, much bigger than one person. This is not a party that worships the president. This is not a party that has any hero worship. We're very focused on building an inclusive movement where all of us are important, as important as any one of us. And so while we have positions like presidents and vice presidents and membership director and all of that, it's really only because of operational issues that we have to do this. But you're all very important, and I'm very, very pleased and happy to be here today and to see all of you and all of us. I wish you could have heard what the chairman has to say. Our chairman is 76 years old. He is a phenomenal person who has given of himself to the movement. If I may say so, nobody has contributed more funds to the movement than myself and the chairman. But everybody that you see on our executive have given blood, sweat, and tears to the movement in one form or another to bring us to where we are. And what's the reason why we're here? Why are we doing this? It is because we believe in some core values, some things that drive us as citizens. And most importantly, we believe in freedom. If you want to define and describe the UIC, one word describes the UIC, and it is freedom. It is our love of freedom. It is our desire to have true and unequivocal freedom. The freedom to do with your life, the freedom to do with your time, the freedom to do with your property as you please, without having government being a master over you. And where is this coming from? Especially for us as Jamaicans, we're coming from a situation where we were slaves. Our forefathers were made slaves. We weren't always slaves. We were free people before. But our forefathers made a grave mistake. They did not prepare to effectively defend their freedom. They took freedom for granted. And so others came along who understood the value of human labor and talent and the importance of protecting that. And so they took our people and transported them across the seas and turned them into servants for other men. Today in Jamaica, we still have the same situation. We have a master slave economy where a few people have control of your country, have control of your economy. They can regulate your life as they see fit. If they want, they can decide what kind of drugs you can or cannot take. So they control your health. They control your body. They can decide whether or not what your children will learn in school. They dictate who can be a teacher. So they certify and decide who is a qualified teacher. They determine what the contents of your curriculum is going to be. They determine which school your child should go to. And of course, some will say, well, you have the freedom, but you don't, because they took your money first. So they took away your money. So if you still want to send your child somewhere else, you have to now find a second set of money because they've already taken that money out of your pocket. So they control your knowledge. They control your understanding. They can control how you think. So through the system of public education, they miseducate the nation and get us to believe in things that we shouldn't believe in and accept things that we should never accept. So they control your mind. They control your economy. They control your body in terms of being able to regulate and decide what kind of access you should have to healthcare. And then they create regulations that allows some sectors and some individuals to have economic power, and some sectors and some individuals to be disadvantaged. Now we're trying to unravel all of that by coming back to the real purpose of government. What is the purpose of government? The purpose of government, first and foremost, and don't miss this, the purpose of government is to protect the life, the liberty, and the property of every single citizen equally. That's the purpose of government. All the other things that you hear government talk about is some extra things that may or may not be within their purview. So the first thing is to protect. Now, how effective has the Jamaican government been at protecting our lives? Many people fear for their lives daily. In fact, if you come to my house, every window is burglar barred, which means that I'm fearful of somebody coming into my house because I can't trust the government to manage that situation. So our security is not taken care of, and that is the fundamental. Any government that cannot provide you security is not worthy of the name government. Because that's what you have government for, to provide security. Then your freedom. Government is not there to take away your freedom. Government is there to protect your freedom. It is because you want to be free why we set up government to create a security barrier so that you can freely engage in enterprise and trade and production and social activities, knowing that you are protected, your borders are protected.
Our third vice president is Devon
Who may want to use force and fraud to take away your life,
Vice President
your freedom, that is to enslave you, or to take away your property.
Devon?
So the purpose of government is to protect those three elements. Then there's something called public goods and services, and there's a big difference. There are private goods and services, and there are public goods and services. Private goods and services are the goods and services that you and I should be able to purchase and consume for ourselves. So anything that you can consume for yourself, meaning nobody else can automatically share in that consumption unless you decide to give them.
Thank you so very much.
Private goods. Now, public goods are like a police service that protects all of us, or a justice system that we all should take advantage of, or roads, street lights, you know, the things that we all can share in common. Those are public goods, and so government should provide those things.
Is exactly what
but government doesn't provide them for free. You and I are paying for that.
Today. I see
now in Jamaica, we have an unfortunate situation where we pay for things that we don't get. Like I pay for garbage collection, but it doesn't happen.
We're going to get to them shortly.
Some people, it doesn't happen for them regularly, so you'll see massive pileups of garbage.
I want to talk to you
also on the floor
up and it goes on the street. We pay for roads. They charge us, you know, vehicle registration and taxes, and property taxes. But we also have to pay more taxes to repair our vehicles because we pay for it, but we don't get the quality. The people who are not qualified and competent to create roads. So we have roads that should last for 18 years, only last for 18 months until the rains come. So these are things that we have allowed government to take advantage of us with because we don't hold them fully accountable. And you can't hold government accountable simply by voting every 4 to 5 years. You need a constitutional reform. You need a constitution that holds government fully accountable and protects you from the government. Right now, the way government is structured, you and I are servants of the government. We get to vote every 4 to 5 years, and then they get 5 years to dictate to us. And then they use their own money to bribe us and win elections again and lock us into a cycle, a vicious cycle, where we gradually learn to hate each other.
Saint Mary.
So they teach us to become divided. And so they divide us, and then they use partisan games and trickery to distract us. And in the process, they extract our wealth from us. So over time, the majority of the people become more and poorer and poorer, as a few select people who are in positions of power and authority by virtue of our governance model becomes richer and richer and richer. And those outside of the country who hold international power strings, like the IMF, the World Bank, the United Nations, and of course, the banking system, and those who control the monetary powers of the banking system, gradually extract, because they trick us again. They have our governments borrow money and bring that money into the economy, not necessarily to increase our productivity, but that in effect dilutes our financial power, dilutes our money, and causes inflation. And inflation is a theft of your labor, because what it means is you work today and you earn $1 that can buy 5 ice cement. But then 10 years down the road, that $1 can't even buy a quarter of an ice cement. So the labor that you were spending in your $1 of effort, you couldn't put it down and pick it back up 20 years and use it, because it would have lost its value. So inflation is a hidden taxation. It's an artificial, hidden, tricky, stealthful move of the government robbing you systematically year after year. So when they tell you that they're going to manage inflation within a range of 2 to 3% a year, what they're saying is that they're going to steal your wealth by 2 to 3% every year. Now apply compound interest to that, and you would have seen the magnitude of how they have made you poor. Now, a few of us, we call ourselves, or people call some of us, the 1%. The 1% understand the monetary system. The 1% understand the trick of government. And so the 1% does 2 things. 1, they fund political parties so that they can make sure that they can influence the regulations that are then placed upon your shoulders. And 2, they make sure that they edge against all of these things by investing in assets that outpace the inflation factors. The vast majority of us don't have the knowledge, the skills, or the tools, or the influence to do any of that. And so we consistently find our economic position being eroded. The UIC is here to change all of that by changing it structurally. We want to change the system of governance structurally so that you are protected systematically with the appropriate checks and balances. And we also want to educate you and give kind of knowledge and understanding of the system, both monetarily and governance-wise, so that you have the mental tool to be able to succeed and hold government accountable as an informed, equipped citizen. So being a part of the UIC is more than being a part of a political party. You're a part of a movement of real structural change that will not just simply talk about leveling the playing field, but more specifically protecting your life, your liberty, and your property from criminals and from the government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patterson. Every time I listen to you speak, it just is a reminder, a strong reminder of why I'm here, why we're all here, to commit, to link arms together and move forward, because we all have the hope. And with this awesome vision, we can finally see our way to a change that we all want, but do not have right now. So thank you so much for that. Want to welcome Varlton Scott. Thank you for joining us. Also, we want to welcome and thank Noreen Kelly and Ruel Corneef for joining us on Facebook, as well as NASA teacher. Thank you for joining us. We will move into the question and answer segment of our agenda now. Thank you so much again, Mr. Patterson. Okay, our first question is from Melford. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Gopal Singh. And I'm seeing a two-part question. The first is the UIC a socialist party? And the second part of that is, if the party is not committed to socialism, it cannot win. It's more like a statement. So who would like to take that question? Paulette, Mr. Patterson?
I can.
Thank you.
The UIC is not a socialist party, and I do understand why Mr. Singh says that if it's not a socialist party, it cannot win. And that's a very, very profound statement. You see, the world has been socialized to believe socialism is the answer. And I want to explain why, okay? Now, if you look at the rich countries around the world, there's not one rich country, not one, anywhere in the world that became wealthy and rich using what we now know as partisan politics. No country has ever divided itself into two and become richer because they divided themselves into two. None whatsoever. You look through history, you'll find none. All the countries became rich by some form of productive enterprise, even if that productive enterprise meant enslaving other people. So you can find countries, for example, like Hong Kong, which had the very unusual situation where it was a colony of England. And while it was a colony of England, England sent a governor to Hong Kong. And this governor was only interested in meeting the quota requirements of England. So it says, we're going to have a very simple system. The people can do whatever they want as long as you don't kill, steal, murder, rape. You can do whatever you want. You can figure out your life, do whatever you want. Just don't do any of these things and pay the commercial fees that we need to be paid to be able to accommodate England. And Hong Kong, with a free people and without any politics, so the people weren't fighting each other over a party or anything like that. The governor of England was there, and the people went about organizing their economy, organizing it without any major mandates over them. They simply learned to produce and trade, and Hong Kong got better and better and better. Another example, of course, I'm oversimplifying it. Another example is Singapore. Singapore got a former colony of England as well. They became independent in 1965, and they have a partisan model of government, but the then leader of Singapore focused on the right metrics. Metric number one, eliminate corruption from government. Metric number two, create a very safe environment for the people to go about their business of trade. Metric number three, create a clean environment so the people are proud of where they are. And metric number four, invest in education at the highest level so that the children and their parents are very, very educated in math and science and so on. With these metrics in place, Singapore really became a one-party state. The government made it very difficult for persons to enter politics. For you to become a politician, you needed to be very well educated and competent and qualified to run a business, to be able to be a member of parliament. You had to be really educated in good governance and all of that. So they made barriers to entry that made it difficult for other parties to succeed. And with a one-party state, so to speak, Singapore was able to focus on true economic development, true human capital development, and Singapore moved from $550 US per person in GDP in 1965, the same level as Jamaica in 1965. 20 years later, Singapore was at over 50,000 and today is over 63,000 in per capita GDP, while Jamaica is still only at 5,000 GDP per capita per person. So we're seeing some clear things here. You cannot use a divided country to become great. All the other countries use wars and so on, and the Netherlands use trade and some amount of slavery as well, tricky kind of stuff. But they never use a divided method where you divide the country and win. Now, once a country becomes powerful or becomes a colonial power, they then place a certain system on the countries that they used to operate in or that they want to continue to control. And the system that works all the time is divide the people into two camps or more, whether along religious line or race line or language line or partisan line, but divide the people. And then while they're divided and distracted, you then manipulate their leaders and get the leaders to still give you the benefits of the country without you being a direct master or governor in the country. That has been the strategy. Now, Jamaica has fallen into that stranglehold. Now, because the people are poor, if one of the parties suggests to the people that if you elect us, we will give you free education, free healthcare, prosperity without productivity, and all that kind of stuff, the people will always tend to drift towards that. They like to hear the idea that somehow they can get everything for free, even though they vote for it and still don't get it. For example, Jamaica today does not have free education. It has free education on paper, but in reality, the quality of the education product is poor. The parents still have to buy textbook and pay hidden fees all over the place. And we end up with one big, free, poor quality product, which does not give us the kind of graduates that will allow Jamaica to be a high productive country. But the people do want to hear the word free before everything. Free education, free but poor quality healthcare, and whatever else you want. So what? To move away from free to a system that's accessible, but where they're a part of the productive process of paying for that and not to simply expect free. So your point is right. It's very difficult to win if you're not trying to trick the people with socialism, but we must find a way, and we are finding a way to get through to them.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. That was well said. So, Mr. Gopal Singh, I hope that answered your question. Really appreciate the eloquence in which you deliver on this, Mr. Patterson. I know it's dear to your heart. Emphasize the fact that there is no free meal, despite what we're being told. Everything comes at a cost, whether hidden or overt. So we just have to pay attention, and we will see the true cost of anything that is being offered, especially those that are said to be for free. We also have another question, but I think there's someone in the group that is raising her hand. Camille?
Paulette. I wanted to say, to follow up on what Mr. Patterson said, that in spite of the fact that the UIC primarily believes in an economy that is driven by the productive sector, mainly that we are some people call it a capitalist, but that's not what we really are. We are for trade and we are for productivity. We do have a part of our program where we, having seen what has happened to the Jamaican people, we do have a program where we are planning to assist. Now, this is not free either. Let me say that though, because what we will want is for people to engage in productivity. So where a parent is not able to afford certain basic amenities for their children, we at the UIC are prepared to assist those parents, but those parents will be asked to assist themselves through whatever means of production that will be available to them. So we do have a program in the UIC where we take into consideration the people in our communities that are less fortunate. but it is not free. It will be at a situation where we join hands together to work for the benefit of each other, for the benefit of the country. But the UIC has a plan to assist those persons who are less fortunate.
Thank you, Paulette. Excellent point and reminder.
Reggie, did you have a question?
You're muted, Reggie. You're muted just in case, because sometimes people are talking and none, but they're muted. And we can't see your video, so we're not sure.
All right, so in the meantime, there is another question out there. I'll just give Reggie.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I tried to unmute several times and then I got muted, so I'm not sure how the system is operating.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Reggie.
And I appreciate the invitation to join this conversation. And I've been following the presentations and response to the question that was raised by the gentleman regarding socialism. I also observed a follow-up comment by Paulette. Let me just express my own perspective on what I've heard so far. Because I believe that there are some inherent contradictions in the logic as far as the issue of empowering people and providing freedom. Because at one level, and in fact, Mr. Patterson, you pointed it out, that the wealthy, those that have the means of exercising economic and social power, they control the political parties and therefore on that basis enforce their own interests through policies and various regulations and laws to preserve and to further their own long-term interests, which of course that means that the majority of the population that does not own the means of exercising social and economic power can never have that freedom that in fact the wealthy has. And therefore the fact is that the freedom that we are speaking about, it cannot rise above the level of existing class society. As long as you have social classes, then freedom can never be evenly enjoyed, pretty much. That's pervasive in all capitalist societies. Jamaica is one, and US, all of them. And so what I'm saying is that I think that what I'm hearing is a sort of a quasi-libertarian perspective regarding freedom, which seems to me that can only have a foundation if you have what we might call a property-owning democracy, which is it's just a fictitious and idealized form of system that does never existed in history. But what I'm suggesting is that unless we can address the issue of social classes, and I thought that was where the question regarding socialism was going, we will in fact have a big challenge. Now, as far as I understand it, whether you have a socialist system or a capitalist system, you can implement various programs, right, and measures to advance productivity. Because regardless of whether you have a socialist or a capitalist program, you need to have productive, sectors in the economy. Because the fact is that you're competing in a global capitalist market, so you can't just extricate yourself on the grounds that you're a socialist. No such thing, not in the current contemporary period of human history. The point I'm making is that there's an inherent contradiction in the notion that almost approximate libertarianism, while at the same time, embracing the existence of social classes. And so we can't very well build freedom and extend it in a very inclusive way unless we address the issue of social classes and what we propose to do regarding social classes when we seek to reconstruct the economy.
All right.
It doesn't
let me respond.
But
let me respond.
let me finish, please. Now,
Well,
I think it's important and useful to make reference to certain historical cases, whether it's Singapore, China, Hong Kong, or wherever it is, or the US or anywhere, because we have to learn and draw lessons from these things as part of developing our own understanding of how things work. And then we seek to apply basic fundamental principles in the ways that it can be appropriate to our own conditions. And so I did in fact enjoy that, that sort of reference that you made with respect to the Asian countries. But the thing is that unless we have a society that's organized in a way that broad members of society can be inclusive, it's going to be difficult to achieve the freedom of which you speak.
Indeed,
right.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, sir. Go ahead, Winston.
1 second. I just want to respond because Reggie has made a number of comments that are worthy of